Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Season 10 of the Intel Extreme Masters. We are in Shenzhen, China. Of course, Day 3 here after the open bracket. Groups A and B, we're here for another day of Groups C and D in the round of 16. I am joined in the opening today by none other than Sean Paul Clark. And of course, oh man, I shouldn't have done that because I can't pronounce your last name, but we have
We can do it together. Try it.
Dan Artosis.
Go on, try.
No, Dan Artosis.
He doesn't even know what it is. He doesn't
Stem.
even
I'll do
know my
half.
name.
Is it
Stem.
I know your last name.
Yeah,
Your last
there you
name is
go.
Joe.
Stemkowski. Okay, I got it. I don't know if I can spell it, but we got
I can spell it.
But the point is, we also have a special guest joining us today. I mean, finally was able to make it out all the way to Shenzhen. It is Kalaris. Welcome, Kalaris. How you liking Shenzhen? We hear that it's a little bit better this year than last year. Last year was super hot. All right, well, you know, that about sums it up.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's pretty on point.
Good to have you here.
Yeah, I mean, always a pleasure to have him join as a surprise guest on the desk. But we do have another full day of StarCraft 2. We have the round of 16 wrapping up today. Actually, we have Groups A and B yesterday, of course. 4 days of StarCraft 2, and then we have Heroes of the Storm joining in on Intel Extreme Masters this season. It's a good year. It's a good year for Intel Extreme Masters.
It's a great year. It's a better season.
Okay. All right.
Do you know why I did that?
Yeah. Okay.
I made no sense whatsoever.
It's the first stop in the season, so I think we can't, like, say that yet.
It's going to be a good season because
Well,
it's the 10th season.
I think
and
it'll
that's
be
something special.
That's true.
I think we should call it X. You know, like,
I reckon every
they didn't
time-
call it Mega Man 10, they called it Mega Man X. Let's
That's
call
true.
it. Let's go with this is Intel
Wait,
Extreme
is that-
Masters X.
Is that really why it's Mega Man X?
I don't know why,
it
but it
number
has an
10?
X and it was called X.
I feel like every time we do that, we have to go like this.
Welcome to the
Intel Extreme Masters
Season
X.
X.
We could be the X-Casters. That would fit in perfectly at this convention, actually.
Yeah, actually, that's true. Yeah, we could go out on stage, do our little dance and whatnot.
We have to get
choreography.
find a badge and have an X on our chest.
Yeah. All right, we'll work on that as we go forward during the day.
No?
I don't know I don't know if anyone's a big fan of that one, Sean.
Quiet Cyclops.
Sorry. It's still very early here.
It is pretty
I'm
early.
waking up slowly.
Yeah, it is pretty early, but you know, I mean, we did this yesterday. And it felt pretty good. I mean, the players are all here. They're warming up. As we take a look at the schedule, we do have, again, Group C and D today. A and B was wrapped up yesterday, guys. So we already have players moving on forward. We don't have any cliffhangers coming in today. That is all set. Group C and D today, and that all leads to the playoffs tomorrow, starting with the quarterfinals at the top of the morning on Sunday, and then all the way to see who wins in Shenzhen for the Intel Extreme Masters.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty exciting. We did have some pretty sick matches yesterday. As you see, Snoot won his group, the group of death.
That's crazy.
Rain,
Yeah.
the defending Home Story Cup and GSL Codes champion, was knocked out.
Sayonara.
Pretty insane storyline right there.
Yeah, and good to see Lucera finally do well at this tournament. First tournament at the Intel Extreme Masters is good to see.
I do want to point out, 100% of Zergs advanced.
Oh, wow.
I know.
100% of Zergs in this tournament.
Yeah, and in first place in their groups, too.
Why are they whining about Stormhost when all of them advanced?
There you go.
In first place in their groups.
We've got the stats right in front of our eyes. No one can say anything anymore.
It's really funny because Pig was talking about how he'd been studying and practicing the other race and other matchups. He's like, yeah, I've been working on Protoss and Terran because let's be honest here. But guess what, Pig? They both went through.
Yeah, listener and Snoot going through. We'll be seeing more of those Zergs. And today, Group C and D. Now, you know, we're talking about Snoot and how awesome that was, but we still have quite a bit to look forward to, especially in Group C. Of course, uThermal coming through. Can he also continue onward as one of those that qualified from Europe and go forward from his group?
I think he can. I actually think he can advance from this group.
I think it's absolutely possible.
Yeah.
But, I mean, 3 Protosses, right? What if they're the same skill level as him?
Well, I mean, we saw that yesterday.
I'm just asking, guys. I don't know. But Jim, of course, like the best Chinese player, right? Like this guy is always up at the top of China. And this is his home turf. Last year he got top 4 here, so...
Yeah, he did super well last year in Shenzhen. Very, very, very good. But this group, when just looking at it, it looks like it's a battle for second place because
it does.
Heroes should not be finishing anything lower than a first place in this group. Of course, they're 3-time champion, and it's between the bottom 3 there that should be going through in second, obviously. But I think it's really going to be between uThermal and Jim.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we don't want to count Cyan out, but just given the history, I mean, Jim was always highlighted kind of as that top Chinese player in StarCraft 2. uThermal finally coming through those qualifiers. Now he's standing there. Snoot just advanced yesterday. I'm sure that serves as motivation for him. And, not only that, but Group D, we have some other names to look forward to, like Parting. So that's exciting for the second half of the day. Also, we got a nice little surprise for all you guys at home. We do have all of our offstage matches being streamed today on a second stream, thanks to Maynard. So you can go over, you can see the address right there, and you can check out all of the matches today. So you can just leave 2 monitors up, 2 screens, 2 games.
And just mute the Australian you like less.
There you go. It'll be a battle for the Australian casters, and then we'll know. We'll check the viewership and see who's tuning into which stream better, and that's how we'll know who to bring on for the next.
Well, Pig's got a clear advantage because we're here with him.
That's true.
We're helping Pig out a lot. I mean, if we were all in Maynard's bedroom, he'd probably have more viewers than Pig would here.
Way more if we're in his bedroom, John. That's just not a fair fight. But for the main stage, though. So, again, you can check that out for all the off-stage streams. For the main stage, we do have uThermal kicking it off on stage for the first match of Group C. Do we think, I mean, all right, I know we keep saying, like, Hero's probably going to be first, but do you think uThermal will at least put up a, like, great fight if he moves onward to the winner's match? Assuming Hero goes on to the winner's match. Again, I mean, anything can happen. We saw that yesterday.
I think that I spoke with uThermal a lot, and he really thinks, or should I say hopes, he can beat Hero, because he thinks that's obviously going to be the best way to get out, because he's really scared. He thinks he can beat Jim, definitely. He said he can go up there and beat Jim.
Right.
The problem comes when he might have to play him for the second time in the decider match. That's where he thinks the problem's going to come in, because he feels like the way the group's going to play out in his head is he beats Jim, Hero beats Cyan, they match off in the winner's match, he loses to Hero, goes to the decider where Jim gets a second shot again. That's where he's scared, so he says that if he was going to advance from this group today, it's going to be in first.
Now, so why doesn't he just lose his first match?
That's what I was going to say,
and then beat him in the decider?
Does it work? Yeah. Does it work like that, though? So here's what I'm wondering. Why is he scared the second time if he's so confident the first time? I mean, is it like
just best of one builds? Is that it? Like he has a special place to hide his barracks?
I mean, I don't know. Yesterday we were talking about how you don't want to face an angry Rain. But that wasn't a problem for Classic, right? So I don't know, like, is that a factor for uThermal, you think?
I think a lot of time, unless you are the clear favorite in a matchup like this, a lot of the times in this kind of format, the player who gets the second chance usually has the better odds to beat the guy who's already played once. Because there's a lot of adaptation that you can bring in. Because uThermal feels like very good to go in there and kind of just show him a European style and surprise him and beat him. And then Jim, on the other side of things, can learn a lot from that and then start to adapt coming into the...
But does he know Jim's Chinese style? Because China is the least aired region for good StarCraft players. We see the least of their games, right?
So Jim has played a lot in WCS, though, right? He's got a lot of broadcasted matches that way.
Yeah, so, I mean, uThermal, I mean, I think he's confident. I mean, just looking at him, too, I mean, it's his first time in Asia overall. I'm sure he doesn't want that to go to waste. He wants to make the most of it. He wants to make sure that he has a good run here so that it lasts as a good memory. Like, first time in Asia, I went all the way, maybe semis or even the finals.
He's got a pretty aggressive style himself, though, to be honest. I mean, a lot of his games in the European scene are a lot of SCV, or they at least were a lot of SCV pulls. He's a very, very aggressive Terran. And we know that Jim is as well, so it's going to be interesting when we look at that kind of dynamic.
Yeah, it will be a fun match to see, of course. Jim, I mean, we keep talking about how he's always been kind of that top Chinese player, but at the same time, yeah, there were a couple runs globally where people are like, okay, I think we can all get behind that as a community, but then he would also like fall off again, be like, okay, suddenly Jim's not in any global tournaments again, and then he like shows up again a couple times.
Yeah, you know, I think it's been kind of a difficult career for him. Sometimes it's hard as a Chinese citizen to get your visa to the country on time, to have your sponsor support there. There's not as many Chinese streams for foreign events.
Yeah.
So I think that he's been kind of hindered by that, but like how many times have we heard about this guy being like #1 GM on the Korean server, you know, able to beat all the top Korean guys.
Yep.
He's definitely a powerhouse player, and I know he plays WCS, so we do get to see him some, but don't forget some of these games, like he's playing more latency and whatnot.
Yeah.
Here it's on a home turf. He's not going to have any sort of latency here. I think that we're going to see some really strong play in his home country.
Yeah, I think you can always say that Jim stylistically is a very aggressive player, but to know what to expect exactly is almost impossible to say.
Yeah, and I think the other big thing is we keep mentioning, sure, Jim has had some good moments here in Shenzhen last year and whatnot, but what matters for him is if he wins this, he's guaranteed a spot. I mean, if he wins the whole weekend, you get your spot at Katowice. You get to go to another global tournament. That's got to mean a lot. I mean, sure, for anyone, uThermal, of course, that'd be sweet too, but for him, it's like, all right, my first time in Asia, if I go to the semis, that's a pretty good finish. But for Jim, it's like, that doesn't really mean anything to me anymore because I need to make sure I can go to another tournament overseas, show the foreign fans what I can do.
Yeah, uThermal can like drive to Poland, so we don't need him winning the spot. It's all about Jim here.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it means a little bit more for Jim, like that extra winning the whole weekend. So again, match number 1 of Group C, it will be uThermal versus Jim. We'll see who gets to go into the winners match. And what we are expecting is probably Hero's going to be waiting for one of them up there. And if they can win that, I mean, we could have another Snoot story with all upsets in Group C. uThermal versus Jim. Kicking off the first match will be Rotterdam and Pig.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. You all seem in such a good mood. We're in a very good mood as well to kick off the second day of group stage action over here at the Intel Extreme Masters, Shenzhen. And what better way to do it than with a fellow Dutchie, Pig? What's better than one Dutchie? It's 2 Dutchies.
Wow, I didn't know that, but I'm being educated here. Gonna see some uThermal action, man.
Yeah. So, let's just go ahead and introduce the players first before we can go on a little rant or a tantrum and, prove where all the boys at the desk were wrong, because that's why we're sitting here. But first things first, over here on the right bottom side of Coda, we're looking at the base of our red Dodge Terran. Representing AT Gaming, it is uThermal. Mark Schlappy has a great name. First, I thought that when the first time I read his name, I thought people were joking. I was like, there's no way that's his name, but it was actually his last name.
I assumed it was a more common name in Holland than it was, but apparently not. Of course, spawning up here, his opponent in the top left-hand side, it is Jim.
Of course, representing Invictus Gaming, has been representing Invictus Gaming for a very long time now already. Jim is a player that's also near and dear to my heart, but I can't help myself to lean a little bit towards uThermal. Interestingly enough, it's already been a 10-gate opening over here by Jim. 10-gate is not standard. There are some crazy Protoss players out there, including myself, that like to open 11-gate very frequently. But 10-gate, that's really the type of opening where you want to do something crazy with it. Could proxy second pylon, could open up with Zealot, Stalker, Mothership Core and just run it across the map. But before we're going to go too much into strategy, I think why uThermal is a lot more confident going into Jim the first time than he is going up against him for the second time. That is because Jim probably looks at this group the exact same way as uThermal does it. It's like, well, winning this first versus 3 would be awesome, but going up against Genesis Hero, the guy that has won 3 freaking Intel Extreme Masters, that's not so awesome. So there's a good chance I'll play him again. And Jim has always been a crazy Protoss, and if he has something special up his sleeve, he's not going to bring it out the first versus 3. He's going to play, I wouldn't say standard, but I don't think he's going to show that X Factor build that I think he would rather save for a later phase in this tournament.
I have to agree with you there already. Jim lately has got a lot of crazy builds in his sleeve in all matchups, and he's always got that range. And even talking to uThermal before as well, he was saying it's really hard when you're analyzing his games, you're watching them, you always think he's heading one way, and then he splits off in a completely different one. And that actually makes it a bit hard to read your scouting information as well. But uThermal was saying he loves these Reaper openings. He loves to open up, just get a scout, and he loves going into that sort of Widowmine play, which is pretty much the most common TvP meta right now.
Yeah, and it is very strong. I just don't think it's very strong when you keep doing it over and over again. I actually think this is going to work out quite well for uThermal, because there is no Stalker on the way yet. I think this Reaper should actually be able to get at least 2 or 3 probe kills, because there is a Mothership Core that's floating to the other side of the map. If uThermal just heads to the mineral line right now, man, this is fantastic. If you're a Terran player, you can kill 3 probes against a 10-gate opening straight to the bank, Jim.
Oh, wow. This is such a gambit from Jim, setting the Mothership Core across the side of the map. The Reaper already picks up a second kill, but he is backing out of that base. The Mothership Core is going to come in now, and it is going to have a little bit of fun here in the base. Going to deny that factory and slow that down for a little bit.
I actually think that uThermal should have been able to get at least 2 more kills there, and he didn't. That's a little bit unfortunate. 2 Marines is not enough. That's why these Marines run away from this Mothership Core immediately, because you need 4 Marines to fight a Mothership Core. Jim knows this as well. I really like that uThermal is not just sacrificing his Marines, he's not just letting them stand there and die. So in the end, This is actually not too bad of an opening for Jim because he also has the confirmation. Wow, he's using Time Warp.
Oh, a very ballsy maneuver there. It does take quite a bit of damage, does kill just one Marine, but that's a lot of energy down the drain.
Yeah.
And that is going to expose him to some weakness because we are seeing the Starport go down, the Widow Mine start building. They're going to be able to come across with a big pressure, and he's going to be very low on that Nexus Cannon energy.
Okay, that's very nice. The Reaper got one more probe kill. The Reaper will probably die over here. Did not get a confirmation that there is something going down in the main
the
base.
Mothership Core just went down on the other side of the map. Jim, oh, a big misstep there. Just not watching while he was dealing with that Reaper at home.
Does he have a probe across the map? He doesn't, right? So Jim is just going to go for some 3-gate pressure. He's going to be like, all right, if you want to drop a Widow Mine into my main base, that's fine. It may kill some workers, but I'm going to try to straight up win the game. And I'm not kidding over here, but I've literally said this exact thing against uThermal this morning. I was like, if you want to play the same way as you always do against Protoss players, against someone like Jim, I would at least always get my bunkers up. You know, don't be greedy, don't skip out on his bunkers, because you know he's an aggressive Protoss. And so far, well, shows that I'm not always wrong. Very frequently, but not always.
Well, you've had a great day of predictions yesterday, Roddy, so I'm bowing to your wisdom for the moment. I'm going to wait for some big missed calls before I start to make fun of you. Of course, this is a 3-gate pressure, and he's going to warp in a lot of Stalkers. Doesn't really have the gas for any sentries, especially after remaking the Mothership Core. And those Marines actually moving out.
Yeah, uThermal should just back off immediately. Put those Marines back into the bunker, pull SCVs, don't wait with pulling SCVs. Send your one Widow Mine across the map, nothing more, nothing less, or 1 or 2 mines. I wouldn't do too much more. Just pull SCVs, and that's exactly what he's doing over here. Because Jim pretty much needs to win the game right here and right now. He has no detection, so it's do or die, and it might actually be do.
Oh, he's running straight past the bunker. Already so many Marines going down. What can uThermal do to stop this? So many units are going down, and great focus fire from Jim. Identifying the Marines are the only damage output here. Oh, but the Stalkers are getting surrounded, but they're slipping their way out of this, and so many SCVs and Marines are going down.
Yeah, like these Widow Mines are going to be very... Oh, that's a very unfortunate shot. Like, yes, they will be annoying, and eventually they will kill a lot. But if he can never kill these Stalkers, then it doesn't really matter anymore. One Widow Mine is going to burrow on top of the ramp. Is it going to shoot at Stalkers? Yes, it will. But I still think that Jim has enough over here to pick up game number 1. I really think he does.
Looks like it's just too many Stalkers here. He's pulling every single SCV, but there's just nothing dealing damage.
He shouldn't get surrounded though. Like, being surrounded is always actually quite bad. He's starting to bleed out a couple Stalkers. One Stalker's going to go down over there. That mine is still alive. 26 SCVs have died, but still there is no follow-up. Well, I won't say there's no follow-up for Jim, but then I realized he has 800 minerals in the bank. He could take 2 more bases.
Jim has, he's in an astounding position right now. There's 4 Marines building at a time, but when the Stalkers are on top of those barracks, it's very difficult to make this work.
I like that Jim realizing that he doesn't have any detection. He's like, I'm just going to sacrifice one Stalker, but it's going to be the one that has the lowest amount of HP. uThermal is going to try to micro his heart out over here, but he just has no damage output anymore. And I think the writing is on the wall for game number 1 on Coda.
GG, well played by Jim. Very decisive, going for that very quick 3-gate Stalker aggression. uThermal just being a little bit slow to, to pull his Marines back there. Losing a few Marines, a little bit unlucky.
We're going to head over to a very small break, and after that we'll be back with game number 2 between uThermal and Jim. Welcome back to the second day of group stage action over here at the Intel Extreme Masters in Shenzhen, where the hometown hero Jim is up 1-0 over my hometown hero, uThermal.
A very decisive, quick game 1 there in the series. uThermal came in confident, but just a few little slip-ups there, and Jim was very decisive. And that's such a great start to the tournament. You know, he's here in front of his crowd of his countrymen. They're all very excited. IG is just massive in China. They've got so much support here.
Absolutely. And I mean, Jim had a great run last year. The boys mentioned it at the desk at the start of the show. Jim made it to the semi-finals of the Intel Extreme Masters last year. I would say that was the biggest result out of his career. Yes, he has made it to a quarterfinals within WCS America in the past, but that was semi-region locked. Intel Extreme Masters was stacked as hell last year, and he made it to the semi-finals. Obviously, he would love a repeat performance, but it's going to be tough. This group is one that's very difficult to predict. I'm leaning towards uThermal still, even after that first game. But it's definitely going to be one hell of a battle between these two, and maybe even Cyan. And of course, we all expect Seagent's hero to make it out of the group. If you don't expect that, then you just haven't really been watching a whole lot of StarCraft over the last few years. Piggy.
Not. I think we all expect her as the clear favorite here. But, you know, Mark, uThermal there was looking very focused, trying to recover his mindset. Jim here, he just had the eyes of a killer before the set even started. And we can see he's maintaining that composure. He looks very, very calm and focused right now.
Yep, second game is going to be played on Cactus Valley, and the last match, if necessary, is going to be played on Iron Fortress. And that is actually quite funny, because that means that we have all 3 maps of the previous map pool, so all 4 new maps have been vetoed. I think if these two would go up against each other again, that wouldn't be the case. I think then we will see one of these new maps squeeze in. But for now, it's going to be Cactus Valley as second map, and if it's necessary, Iron Fortress is going to be our deciders.
Spawning up here in the top right of Cactus Valley, we have the Dutch Terran player. It is uThermal.
How's your Dutch, Piggy?
Non-existent, except for the words that are shared with German. I might know one or two maybe.
Are they safe for camera?
No.
Damn it. Over here on the left top side of Cactus Valley, we have the man that's representing Invictus Gaming. It is Jim. Once upon a time, I hyped this man into oblivion together with my old friend, Mr. Bitter. We couldn't stop talking about Jim for days. We made him sound like he was he was basically the greatest thing that ever happened to StarCraft. And then the very first match he played, he went up against Nasty, you know, the multiple-time GSL champion, and he just killed Nasty like in 18 minutes, 2-0 in a best of 3. And everyone's like, oh my god, all the hype is justified. And me and Bitter, we looked at each other, we're like, uh-oh, what have we done? Like,
if you cast your mind back, that was 2013, I believe, right?
Yep.
It's
2013, season 2.
It's something of a sad story. If you look at Jim's career that year, it was when he was really starting to shine the brightest, and there were multiple tournaments he actually missed out on due to visa restrictions. There was a WCS Premier season he missed out on, a WCS Global Finals he qualified for and couldn't go to.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a lot of opportunities right when he was at a very peak point in his career, which he missed out on, and that can be very damaging to a player's mentality. So it's really nice to see Jim kind of getting back up on this horse and still performing very well.
Historically, there's always been one matchup that's been holding Jim back a little bit, and that goes for his brother-in-arms, Maxed, as well, and that has been PvT. He's just never been that solid in PvT. Now, Cactus Valley is a much bigger map than Coda. What I'm expecting here is some old-school Jim magic, and for the fans out there, well, what does it even mean? I don't really watch Jim every single day, don't blame me. Well, it's Gas First, by the way, by uThermal. He's going to be very aggro. I think that Jim wants to play Phoenix Colossus on this map because it's such a large map. This is a map where even a lot of Protoss players that are normally not Phoenix players like to play Phoenix, just because it's pretty much the only way to ever deal with drops on this map. uThermal on the other end is going to go Gas First. I'm not too surprised by this because he used the exact same opening against Lilbao and Harstem at Cactus Valley during the qualifier run that he had at the Intel Extreme Masters European qualifier, where he defeated arguably the 4 best European players in a row.
It's a very, very decisive build, and I like seeing it. Even when you're down a game, it could be said that it's risky, but it makes sense. On Cactus Valley, it's a 4-player map. Players usually aren't going to scout you as fast, and you can see Jim's scout actually going in the wrong direction. He isn't going to realize this is happening until a medevac's almost popping out, and that's going to give uThermal that element of surprise, which makes this timing very, very powerful. That attack coming in with that Widow Mine so fast is so hard to stop.
And let's not forget, if this would have happened in the previous game, then Jim wouldn't have been able to mine any more minerals from, let's say, 6 minutes and 45 seconds, because that is roughly going to be the time that first medevac makes it into the main base of Jim. This time I do actually expect Jim to get detection. It may be a Forge. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go 1 gate into Forge. That's a little bit unorthodox, but that is kind of like, as I like to call it, cheating as the Protoss player. I do it myself as well, because it's very difficult to defend against a lot of Widow Mines with observers. It's going to be a Twilight Console first, but I still think it's going to be the Forge as follow-up. It's just easier to deal with drops when you have cannons than when you have observers. Like observers, yeah, they detect, but you still need units to actually shoot at, you know, those Widow Mines, those Hellions, whatever. And if you get a Forge and you drop a cannon in each mineral line, you have detection and you have constant DPS.
It's actually a really, really nice adjustment there. And of course, the medevac's popping out, so it is in his next 30 seconds. This is where uThermal's build is focused. He needs to do damage with this attack.
Man, he's getting 2 more gateways. Jim, yeah, gonna be very risky. If he's gonna try to do this without detection again, this time, once again, the medevac is gonna make it to the main base a lot quicker. Jim has no idea. Jim is probably expecting maybe Gasless Fast Expand or Reaper Fast Expand. Now Jim knows that he's actually playing against Gas
He
First.
hasn't realized.
Oh my god, he's making 1 more gateway.
He ran right past the Stalkers there, but he didn't catch on. And look at this beautiful position. Easily sets up on the top of the ramp, gets the burrow down. Those Stalkers can't get up there.
He has to send a probe, but the Stalker. Okay, well, this is smart. At least the probe is going to soak up that Widowmine shot. He doesn't really have another Photon Overcharge, though. The thing is, this is just the first wave. The first wave will be able to get Stalker over there. Good focus fight with these Marines. Modest, of course, taking a lot of damage. The Hellion is going to work on these probes. But this is not even the biggest threat. Oh, he's unpowering all those gates. That's very well done. But what I'm more worried about for Jim is that second medevac with another Widowmine.
Killing the mothership core. And look at this, with that medevac healing, those Marines just aren't going down. And so far, 5 probes have gone down, a pylon and a mothership core just for a couple of Marines. And that Widowmine is still in such a deadly position, and there's no detection on the way.
And exactly, the entire natural right now is super exposed. The Widowmine shot at something. Maybe it was a probe, maybe it was a Stalker, I'm not sure. But this is just extremely frustrating for Jim. Is there another medevac on the way? I think uThermal is a little bit worried. He's like, he should have something going into my main base soon, right? Well, actually, no, it was just gateway pressure. That's what he was hoping for. So Jim is going to try to win the game right now with just 4-gate Blink Stalker, no detection, while there is a Widowmine on his ramp. And he knows, as soon as he leaves, this Widowmine is going to wiggle his way into the mineral line.
Oh, this is just such a good feeling uThermal has right now. Knowing that Widowmine's there, continuing to get damage, knowing everything's gone right with your opening so far. He's got to feel very confident. He's got to feel like he's back in control of this game. Jim, though, realizing the position he's in, he says, I can't wait. I can't play this out without detection. I need to go right now.
That's very unfortunate. This medevac is going to go down because Blink has finished up. So that medevac will go down. The Widowmine will not go down. So at least this Widowmine will be able to run into the natural. But if I was uThermal right now, I'll just kind of stay on one base for a bit. It's like, well, I know you have 2 bases and I have 1, but I can still drop mules in my main base. And I actually, you have no detection, so there is a time on your attack.
Oh, a very, very ballsy Blink coming into the main here, trying to focus down that medevac, but uThermal pulls it back with just a sliver of life. The Stalkers are coming in, getting a little bit disorganized. uThermal's pulling SCVs, but he doesn't have a very big force of bio. These Marines need to stay alive. He needs to build up this ball of units, otherwise these Blink Stalkers are going to get out of control.
Yeah, but I think uThermal's more than fine now, because there's no high ground vision either. That Widowmine is going to be very annoying. He's going to go for the Blink, just a crazy Blink past all the Marines, but this time the Marine numbers are just a lot higher than they ever were before. There's still that very annoying Widowmine. The SCV is doing a really good job in soaking up a lot of these Stalker shots. 9 SCVs have gone down in the process, that's nice, but Jim is still showing us no signs of willing to transition.
And oh, look at that Widowmine. As you said, Roddy, he's scuttled over into the mineral line. He's starting to pick off those probes. Jim is on a timer here. His economy is getting ravaged back home. He's going all in, blinking on top of the bio. But with the Marauder in that bunker is dealing out so much damage. The SCVs are wrapping around. This is a really good hold for uThermal.
Yep, all of these Stalkers are going to go down eventually. I don't think there is any way out for these bad boys. Just 3 of them remaining. A lot of them have no shields anymore. Jim is starting to look like he wants to transition. He dropped the assimilator, but then he's like, nah, I'm not even gonna try. GG is called. uThermal evens up the series.
A very decisive way to get back in there. You can see that focus on uThermal's face. He looks very, very happy with how that went. And this is what his plan was from the beginning. This is how the games were meant to go. He felt like that was meant to happen from game 1. And I think this is a really cool change we've seen in Mark and uThermal's attitude. Is he used to be known for really losing control of his mindset after losing a game 1, and his performance would dip a lot. But I think today in that game we saw he did everything right.
I think it was quite smart by uThermal. I'm not sure if this was his plan all along. I have seen him do gas first multiple times on Cactus Valley, but it could also be that he looked at game 1 and he's like, well, if you're going to be this stubborn, that you're just that type of Protoss that is going to go super all in every single time and just not get any detection, then I'm just going to go gas first, and then this is going to arrive so much quicker that it's pretty much impossible for you to deal with, because once that Widowmine burrows once, Protoss, it's just really frustrating. You have to send your workers, you have to always avoid this little circle where the mine is. If that mine shoots as one of your Stalkers one time, well, you're in a world of trouble, because then you just have no more DPS. And uThermal, he's really good as well with small little micro tricks. I will never forget this moment where he played in the Intox Remasters qualifier against Harstem in the left bottom, well, yeah, it was against, was on Cactus Valley against Harstem, left bottom side. He was picking up Marines that were being targeted by an Oracle. I'm not even kidding. Like, Oracle's kill Marines in like 0.1 second. But he kept picking them up. Every single time an Oracle shot at one Marine, he picked it up in the medevac. I was losing my mind. I was casting those games with Kalaris, and I was like, oh my god, this is stupid. Like,
that is so sick.
Yeah, it was sick.
It's one of those things most players would not even try to do that, but if you can pull it off, if you've been practicing it, it's those little bits of flair that really set a Terran player apart.
It's really funny because the other day I was playing a little bit of Terran in 4v4, and I remember that moment. I was like, I remember what uThermal did in that IEM qualifier. I'm gonna do it too. My Marine died and I picked up the 3 wrong Marines. It's like, wow. All right, never again.
Never again. All right, going into game 3, the players uThermal and Jim are tied up 1-1, and we are going into Iron Fortress.
Jim really looks a little different, man. He looks very healthy, very fresh.
Yeah, he looks very, very focused as well.
Yeah, in the past he looked a little bit worn out, sometimes a little exhausted, but now he looks fresh. He looks like he's ready for another IEM run.
And of course, he'll need to be going up against his Terran opponent here, spawning in the bottom left-hand side of Iron Fortress. It is AT Gaming's uThermal.
Definitely does me well to see more and more Dutch players making it to tournaments that are so far away from our beautiful home country. He's gonna go up against this man that's representing Invictus Gaming, also a player that's very near and dear to my heart. It is Jim. I am a little bit sad that is, like I called him before, his brother-in-arms, Maxed, is not here. I kind of always feel that wherever Jim goes, Maxed should go. Because, you know, they're just 2 great Protoss players. They play very similar. They're very funny as well. Jim doesn't speak a whole lot of English, but he tries. Maxed as well. And apparently, you know, when I was sitting next to Edison, and then once I sat next to Frodan, these Chinese guys, they've got a great sense of humor, and they were just trash-talking each other over and over again. Like, Maxed was watching one of Jim's games once, and he was just like talking in Chinese. He's like, oh my god, what a disgrace to my build. I will never allow him to do my build again. This is just poor execution, you know. And I was just kind of dying while they were translating it for me. I was like, man, these guys are so fun. I never knew.
It's a side of the players you just don't get to see, you know, with that language barrier always. It's always cool to get that glimpse into the eyes of the players. And interestingly enough here, Jim, once again, very sad, you know, two 4-player maps in a row going in the opposite direction. He's going to get that scouting information so late, but he's not going up against anything too crazy this time around. Looks like it'll just be the very standard Reaper opening from uThermal.
I think everything is going to be, I can't really imagine Jim just going for another, as I sometimes call them, rather uninspiring semi-gateway all-ins. Of course, they were a little bit different. First time it was just straight up 3-gate off the back of a 10-gate Mothership Core opening. The second time it was 4-gate Blink Stalker, but, you know, any builds that don't include any sort of detection, it's just super all-in, you know. There's no other way around it. I can make it as beautiful as I want. I can sell it very convincingly as the dedicated Protoss player that I am, that this was a great tactical decision, but it's just an all-in build because you have no detection, so there is a timer on your attack, and if you don't win the game within approximately 2-3 minutes, the game is pretty much going to end, unless every now and then you have a bizarre standoff scenario where you do a lot of damage, I do a lot of damage. Let's sort of transition, but I would say that happens 1 out of 10 games where you just refuse to get any detection.
Of course, both players expanding just here. uThermal coming in for the Reaper Scout is going to see that fast Nexus. The Mothership Core has just popped out, is going to deflect this. Of course, the Reaper wants to try to spot where is the second pylon. That's what the Terran player is looking for at this point. Is there any hidden tech? Sees exactly where all that is and feels very comfortable progressing with his factory path, going into that Widow Mine tech once again.
I'm so surprised because what Flo is showing us right now, Jim scouted the natural. He could have been annoying with the probe, he could have been like zapping away at that SCV. Then he went up the ramp, but he went back immediately. He didn't even see the factory. As a Protoss player, I am so extremely happy when I know when I'm playing against CC, you know, or Rex CC into factory or Rex CC into 2 more Rexes, because it forces you to react completely different. But it seems like Jim doesn't care whether this is a 2 Rex, 3 Rex, or a 1 Rex into factory. Well, most of the time uThermal will go factory follow-up, but I would still say this is one of those things you want to confirm that for yourself. But it seems like Jim,
he has a plan. He's coming into this. It really feels like he just doesn't want to give any chance of losing that probe.
Exactly.
He wants it to survive. We see the Twilight Council coming down. And of course, if we think about Iron Fortress, one of the big features of this map is there's no natural ramp. There's no high ground there. So Blink Stalker aggression can kind of come forward, come back, without constantly having to gain high ground vision to shoot at the bunker.
This Reaper is going to hop into the main base and will spot the Twilight Con, so that's a massive scout over here for uThermal. Now he knows he has to worry about that. What's also massive is that he doesn't spot a robotics facility, he doesn't spot a forge yet. Man, Jim is in a hurry, man. I don't know, maybe he knows about some great hot pot restaurant over here in Shenzhen, and he's just really hungry right now because he wants to get this series over with. Well, actually, he's getting a robotics facility this time, so it's not too bad yet.
A good reaction, I think, after being scouted to go for that robo, not to just go for some all-in build when it's being scouted. This is really nice, forcing the Nexus Cannon out with those Hellions. And of course, this is just the first stage, forcing the Nexus Cannon out so that the medevac with the 2 Widow Mines that's about to come up is going to go into that main base. There's going to be no Nexus Cannon to cover it.
And most importantly, detection is not ready yet. Yes, the robotics facility is being wiped in, it's halfway done, but it's very, very unlikely that Jim will have enough DPS to shoot down the medevac and both Widow Mines, or shoot down both Widow Mines before they're able to burrow. So I think there's a very good chance over here that uThermal should be able to get a couple cheeky probe kills. And while these Stalkers are into the main base, let's keep an eye on those Hellions, because those Hellions are going to swing into the natural again.
Oh, the 1-2 punch. The medevac boosting into the main base. The Stalkers are coming down. That's 5 Stalkers. They are focusing the medevac down very, very quickly. The Widow Mines do get burrowed in that mineral line.
Yep, well, like I mentioned, and here come these 2 Hellions as well. They're going to try to get a couple of cheeky probe kills. 5 kills already. I think uThermal was quite satisfied with this, because let's not forget, this was not a gas first opening. This was Reaper into command center, into factory follow-up. When you get 7 workers as a Terran, uThermal is very satisfied with this. 8 workers even, man. Ooh, cheeky dodge, right? Cheeky.
Not too bad. Sacrificing 2 Widow Mines. Of course, we did lose the medevac for that. So uThermal did take a bit of a hit in that unit count. And this proxy Dark Shrine in such a crazy position there. Looks like we've also got a Warp Prism queued up. So we are going to be seeing a very sneaky, quick DT drop counter-attack from Jim.
Yep.
And uThermal, he's starting a missile turret in his natural. Looks like he realizes this might be an option.
I mean, uThermal is a good enough Terran player to realize that he did enough economic damage that if this game plays out in a very straight-up, normal way, that he's going to be in a great position. So right now, he just wants to make sure that nothing too crazy happens. This is tricky, though, to figure out if you're a Terran player right now, because you look at it, you're like, he's going to blink Stalker at me again, right? uThermal is pulling SCVs immediately. We'll keep the bunker alive, and that's so important. But I do like the way that Jim is selling this so far. It's just rather unfortunate for Jim that uThermal seems to be having the right read on this game.
Jim coming in, poking back and forth. 3 DTs, warping into that Warp Prism on the right-hand side. The Blinkstalkers looking just to distract, to pick off SCVs, to be as annoying and distracting as possible. Right now, there is a missile turret in both mineral lines. They can go down very quickly to those DTs, and there is only 1 scan saved up. It's all going to be about whether these DTs can get some damage done right here.
I think he should just drop all Dark Templars in the main base, and he's actually going to unload all of them in the natural. No, that went terrible for Jim. Lost the Warp Prism and lost all 3 Dark Templars. I don't know, Piggy. This isn't looking all that good for Jim right now.
A disastrous move. That is so much gas. And he's warping in another 2 Dark Templars. Jim just looks so stubborn right now, trying to force this to work. Looks like those DTs are a little bit more defensive, trying to harass this force, force out scans as it counter pressures. He knows he does not have enough units at home, so Jim needs to use those DTs to defend.
Forcing out a couple scans, he's going to try to slow uThermal down. Colossus is halfway done. If he gets 1 Colossus out, and this actually, those 2 Dark Templars that he wiped in, they already did more than the previous 3 Dark Templars and the Warp Prism. This is actually very good for Jim, because he needs this time so badly, because he's going up to Colossus at home. And man, he did very well with these 2 Dark Templars. I'm actually very impressed.
Pulling back the army is so valuable right now. This was the 1 critical timing where Jim was incredibly open to a counterattack. Right now, we see the first Colossus popping out. The second one starting up. Colossus range on the way. Suddenly, Jim's army is actually looking like it's getting to a point that it can actually defend its base. It can take a front-on fight. The sort of timing has been missed. It looks like uThermal's pushing across to pressure now, but it's not sure how much damage he can get done with this.
Yeah, I think if Jim just sits in his natural, he's going to be fine. I was kind of worried about the eyes that he had on the map, but he only has 2 observers, and that is not fantastic, but that's not bad either. You know, he spots he had an observer that he thought was leaving the natural, and then he has an observer over there, so he's going to see this army arrive. And I don't think uThermal can really take this fight unless Jim messes up badly with his Colossus patrol, but 2 Colossus should be more than enough to deal with this.
Widow Mine's kind of...
uThermal's going to scan right now and kill that mine. I kill the observer.
Sims forward does manage to take it out.
That's mine, actually.
Oh, very nice sieging position here, actually. More Colossus is what Jim wants to be building right now. He only has one more observer out on the map. So having to stop that Colossus production to potentially build more Colossus, it's not really an option. He just has to keep on building his Colossus here. And look at this, he's trying to come out and force a fight.
Yeah, I mean, I like this fight because his army is a lot stronger. These stocks are a little bit exposed. 2 more mines, that is going to be a little bit scary, though, because if those 2 mines blow up in the middle of your stalker ball, well, then most of the HP is going to be done immediately. Jim could use that other observer that he had on the other side of the map to come back home, because that observer is not really doing anything. It's just kind of chilling there. It's like, well, it's great to know that there is a Marine and a Viking heading to the other side of the map, but I think he should have pulled that observer back a while ago. uThermal throws down a scan. Oh, careful with your observer, Jim. All right.
Losing a couple of those valuable Widow Mines. They are some of the very valuable splash damage that uThermal does have. He's very behind on his Viking count, which is why he cannot take a fight right now. Jim recognizes this. This is why he's pushing out, clearing all these Widow Mines up on the map, actually.
Jim has a forge, so I don't think he really has to go for another big attack. But what he could do is go up to 3 bases while putting on some serious pressure with his Colossus. Because no, there's no Terran that wants to fight against 3 or maybe soon to be 4 Colossus if you don't have at least a handful of Vikings. You know, you just don't want to take that fight unless you're Maru. And we do like to call uThermal Maru Turmo in the Dutch scene. And I think some people in Europe do it as well, but that would still be a little bit ambitious, to say the least.
Looking like uThermal is still adding on those Vikings little bit by little bit, but only just now at the 15-minute mark do we see his 3rd command center starting. uThermal not in the strongest macro position, and looking at that supply counts, we can see that Jim has started to overtake him quite a lot. Those DTs actually did end up paying off quite well.
It's crazy, man.
I mean, there's no charge just yet for all these Zealots, but just the number of Colossus and Stalkers alone is very intimidating.
It really blows my mind that Jim is in the position that he's in, especially after those first 3 Dark Templars died and that Warprism died. I would have been like, oh my god, I hate life so much right now, you know, I'm just gonna leave this game. I'm gonna write a message to David Kim and I'm done with it. But Jim actually managed to get himself in a really good position with those 2 additional Dark Templars that forced uThermal back into his main base. He got a Colossus out and he actually killed a handful of SCVs. Suddenly he was 12 workers ahead and uThermal had no 3rd command center. And this is a Protoss army that you have to respect, man. Look at that army. That's a gross army.
It's just, there's more gateway units than there are Marines and Marauders right now. 16 Zealots and 21 Stalkers to 11 Marauders and 27 Marines. That is absolutely insane.
Yep.
Only 3 medevacs out as well, which means there's not that much prolonged healing. This is a very scary force for Jim. And even catching the medevac out, sniping down the Widow Mine drop. uThermal is backed up against the wall. He needs an amazing engagement. He needs a perfect spread to be able to take on this fight.
Yeah, this is going to be such a tricky fight because this is going to be Guardian Shield as well, so these units are going to have a lot of armor. You know, this is kind of what I like to see out of Jim, and I think he's playing this out perfectly as a Protoss. You know, he's going up to 3 bases, but he's also putting on so much pressure on uThermal. He's going to get a couple of 3 SCV kills over here. He doesn't have to do this, but I think he's confident enough that he's just going to try. How many Vikings are we currently looking at? I feel that 10. 10 is a number that uThermal could probably work with, but he still is going to need a very perfect engagement. Time Warp is going to go down.
Great Time Warp, beautiful, beautiful SCV pool, but is it enough? So many of the units are trapped at the back. The Vikings are shooting down these Colossus. 2 Colossus go down very quickly. There's still 3 raining down fire on this army. uThermal trying to drag those
Actually, a
Colossus
pretty
shots
good
away.
fight for uThermal because there's mostly Stalkers left, and Stalkers are not very good against Marauders. Well, there are so many Stalkers actually that I think they are very good. GG is called, and Jim will win. Just after the back of those 2 additional Dark Templars, man. That's really what set him so far ahead. I thought uThermal was making a pretty valiant effort over there in the natural, and I felt as soon as those Colossus were gone, maybe he could have turned the battle around, but there, you know, even though those Stalkers didn't have great upgrades, if you have 25 Stalkers, it doesn't matter if there are 4 or 5 or 6 Marauders left, you know. They will take care of it.
They will. And a decisive victory there for Jim. In the end, Mark, uThermal looking a little bit flustered there. He had a little bit of a smile, shook Jim's hand, but didn't go the way he expected. Jim, on the other hand, looking quite content. Of course, we are going to bring him up to the analysis desk for an interview in just a moment.
And if I was Jim right now, I'd actually feel pretty happy because I feel about the game where I played the most legit style of Protoss, you know, where you got the 3 gate, where you got the robotics facility, you got detection. That is the game that he actually won. And the first wave of those Dark Templars didn't even really do a whole lot for him. So if I was a Protoss and I look at that series, I feel pretty pretty satisfied with myself.
I'd feel really good. I think it came down to all the small little touches that Jim added in there and very much the confidence in his play. He looked really, really good with the Blink Stalkers at the front. They actually picked off quite a few SCVs there over the course, distracting that without losing many Stalkers at all. So even though the DTs did whiff initially, he was very greedy behind that. He just didn't warp in any units, just added the Colossus and the probes, and suddenly he was back in the game.
I think you make a great point there. It did set him up for that economic lead that he created for himself. Maybe it wasn't that much, but it was 6 or 7 kills, and then those 2 Dark Templars, one forced out a scan, also hurts the economy. The other Dark Templar just ran into the main base, picked off a couple SCVs, and then suddenly, like, yeah, the attack may not have worked, but he's up 12 workers, so it looks great. Can't wait to hear from the man himself as he's on the analysis desk with Chobra and Apollo.
Thank you very much, Roddy. Yes, we are joined by Jim, who just won his first match in Group C. Congratulations on your victory, 2-1 against uThermal. Of course, uThermal kind of coming in as a big European hope, but we were talking before, Jim, and I want to ask you, straight from the man himself, I mean, how much would it mean for you to win this and secure a spot in Katowice? Because you don't get too many chances to go to global tournaments.
uThermal 是一位比较厉害的欧洲选手，也是一位比较对他们有希望能晋级的选手。你这场胜利对你来说意味着什么？
这场胜利对我来说应该算是一种自信吧，因为最近我成绩真的是太差了，但是我练得很多，所以之后希望能够出现。
So let me just help you out a little bit. There you go.
Right back.
There you go.
Okay. This winning means a lot of confidence to me, and this period of my time I didn't do really well, so this give me a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I sure hope so, because a lot of foreign fans also know of Jim quite well, but they're like, oh, we don't get to see him as often, but then when they do see Jim, they're very excited. So, I mean, how aware is he of how much the foreign fans like to see him play?
你知道你的很多国外粉丝很希望你能出现在舞台上，但是有很多机会你可能没有把握住，但是你对大家想希望你出现舞台上有什么想法吗？尤其是对国外的粉丝们来说。
我会继续努力练习，争取这次 WCS 能够出现在更高的舞台上面吧。每一次都是过去就输了。
Okay. I'm trying to practice more, and I'm going to make this WCS to go a little bit further.
Yep.
I won't be like last time on the further to try to get through to the qualification.
Awesome.
And do the best of my tournament.
Okay, great. I have a question for him. So, results haven't been that good recently. But how is his training in preparation? Does he feel in good shape for this tournament?
你可能现在状态一般，但是你练习中的准备是怎么样的？然后你练习中的状态的话，战绩怎么样？然后你对这些比赛做怎么样的准备呢？
练习的话，我觉得状态还可以吧，在韩服中师有个50名左右，然后。状态也很不错，我都是靠天梯练习，因为韩服真的很强。
I basically train in the Korean ladder, and I usually made to the Grandmaster division on top 50.
Top 50?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm doing pretty well division in the practice.
Yep.
So gonna be good.
Great.
Awesome.
Can you beat Hero? Yeah?
I want to.
I think we're all really excited to hear that, because of course Hero kind of has that bullseye on his back. Now before we wrap up though, we've got a little present for you, don't we, Sean?
We got a present. We have a song. We made a song for you. So if you'd tell him.
我们为你做一首歌，然后希望你也可以跟我们一起唱起来。
It was while you were winning. We were singing it together, and we wanted to sing it for everyone at home. But you, if you can, try join in.
我们在你们比赛之中，就是为你做一首加油歌，然后你如果可以的话，加入我们一起唱。
Okay. We'll start
Sean will
slowly.
Start. Okay.
We'll start slow. You can join in as well. We'll do this together.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Jim, go and win. Jim, go and win. Jim, go and win. Woo!
All right.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, thank you very much for the interview, Jim. Congratulations on moving to the winners match. Of course, thank you, Jay, for your interpretations on the desk. We will be taking a quick break. When we come back, we will find out who's going to get through from the group in the winners match of Group C.